All right, we're going to be planning with a matrix today. So on our page here, I'm going to be writing planning with a matrix. Now, when we did our matrix, I'm actually going to flip back, and this is informative, so it's going to be different. I'm going to flip back to the notes as a reference of what we did in opinion writing. We did, what was the article's name? Okay. Yes to the answer and no to the answer. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to have the article names, and I'm going to have information that I might want to include in my essay. So that's how we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to move on to adding it onto the organizer, just like we did in opinions. Okay. So here we go. Planning with a matrix, informative. We're going to make it a 3-column chart. Okay. At the top here. And I'm actually going to write information. I'm going to write it this way instead of this way. I think it would be easier for me to organize my information here. We're going to do passage 1. We're going to do passage 2. And we're going to do passage 3 here. Now, if it's easier for you to do it long ways, then you're more than welcome to do that. For me, it's easier so I have the lines to keep things organized. Okay? So my first passage, we talked about manifest destiny. And now remember, we're informing our reader about manifest destiny and the westward expansion. So essentially, I can include anything that I want as long as it's on topic and it comes from the information. Now, the difference between opinions and informative is that informative is a lot of paraphrasing and a lot of quoting and putting what I read in my own words. Okay, so the first passage talks about John O'Sullivan. I remember highlighting, so I'm going to go back and see. Came up with the idea. I'm paraphrasing here. Not an event. 1845. Let's see here. It means, I'm just going to put MD means, so manifest destiny means it was apparent that the U.S. was meant to control, and I'll move this up 1 second, all of North America. That was the idea. Okay, so I'm going to push that up so you can see that. I just wanted to finish writing that. And another part would be, this started westward expansion. Okay. And then it also, we had nationalism. So I can talk about how people, so when people were proud of their country, that they wanted to share democratic principles, share democracy. And then we can also say that some people did not like it, that many were opposed. So I'm going to put many were opposed. Many disagreed. And then if I wanted to talk about that, I can go back in my passage and find where I had underlined that. So everything here, I want to make sure is underlined in my passage, which it is. Underline my passage. And I will post a picture of all of my underlined passage, things that are underlined in the passage on this assignment. So that's passage 1. It was really short, or source 1. My second source was the United States expands west. Okay. All right. So, the Louisiana Purchase, 1803. The Louisiana Purchase doubled. Oh, gotta move it down. So sorry about that. Purchase doubled the size of the U.S. Okay. We also have, let me see, we have fur traders. Trading in general. Let's see here. Mountain men. And that is it for the first part. Then we have religious migrants, which are people who move for religious reasons. We have the missionaries. And then we had the Mormon people who were finding a place where they wouldn't be persecuted. So the missionaries are the people that wanted to share Christianity with the Native Americans and convert them. So if I wanted to write about that, that's a big reason why people would come over. Let me see. My next page to that would be (1848). We have the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So a treaty is just a written agreement. Usually happens after a war. Hidalgo. And that gave us Texas to California to the U.S. I would say that would be gave Texas to California to the U.S. Okay. And then the 1848 again. The Oregon Treaty. Which gave us Oregon, Washington, Montana, parts of Idaho, and Wyoming. And then 1854, Gadsden Purchase gave us New Mexico and Arizona. And that would be how we expanded our borders. And then they go in to talk about the gold rush. And that land, what is it? The Land Act, Homestead Act, where they gave people land. Okay. All right, so that is that passage. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just putting information together to organize my thoughts of things that I thought is important before I actually start planning. So this helps me organize and get rid of the information that's not important. I'm going to take some of the information that I write here, and that's what I'm going to be including in my essay. Some of it I might not include, some of it I will. Now, this one is passage 3, was traveling on the Immigrant Trails. So we have 3 trails. We have Oregon, California, and Santa Fe trails. 1841 to 1866, 650,000 people traveled west. So reasons why people came over. In the 1830s, the USA had a depression, which is when nobody had money. People lose their jobs. Floods. And an epidemic. So people were trying to avoid those things. Epidemic of cholera. Okay. Other things, they had farming technology. That brought people over. Gold, they talked about gold here too. In 1848. And then cheap land. We also have, let's see here. What was the trail like? So it was $150 to $200 to travel. $2,000 miles. Usually on foot, they said. 4 to 6 months to complete. And then if I also wanted to talk about that's about it. That I can talk about what they did with the wagons and other things like that if I wanted to. So I'm just going to put wagons. So that is what my planning, my matrix would be. I'm going to take this information and try to group it together so I can have a paragraph on something, a paragraph on something, a paragraph on something. As I was reading, I said, I might be able to do a paragraph for each passage. It might not work out that way, but that's how I want to start thinking. So when I put this information together, I can say I have a lot of stuff on the people who traveled over there and why. Okay, the kinds of people that traveled over there and why. How the land was acquired. What was manifest destiny and what did it cost? So I'm going to group all that stuff together when I do my plan in my next video in my graphic organizer before I start writing. And when I have that organized in my mind, and I'm going to do an ITC outline as well, then I will be able to start writing.